Yadkin County is very rural, and there's just not a lot of places that you can go to get help with food. I mean, if you're on food stamps, that's one thing, but like I said earlier, there's never enough.
Yadkin County, bordered on the north by the Yadkin River, is a rolling hill country full of beautiful farmland, vineyards, and people. However, like many other rural counties, Yadkin County is not without its challengers. According to Access NC, in 2019, 13.4% of the county's population lives in poverty. Roughly 5,000 people of the 37,000 residents, according to the 2019 U.S. Census Bureau. The Southeastern University Consortium discovered that in 2015, around 2,000 children were eligible for free or reduced lunch in Yadkin County, yet only around 78% of those children were receiving any benefits. Matthew 14:18 says, "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down in the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks, and he broke the loaves. Then he gave them to his disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate, and they were satisfied. And then the disciples picked up the 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Like Jesus, we have 5,000 neighbors to feed in our community. Our county has at least 70 churches of all denominations. We have nearly 2,000 businesses according to the 2018 Access NC website. But only 51 churches and 31 businesses have been supportive of our greatest nonprofit, Yadkin Christian Ministries. And this is how YCM is started.
Yadkin Christian Ministries began maybe in 1978 was when we had the first meeting. But we had a group of pastors that met once a week at that time. And so they were getting a lot of calls from people needing help, wanting to come to the church and see if they could help them. And so the president of that group at that time said, well, we need to talk to our laity about this. They should be the ones doing it. And so anyway, we had our first meeting at Harmony Grove, and I think there was about 200 people there, which was a big crowd. And the plans just began to roll of how many people we had on hand and who we could get for volunteering. He said, we want the laities and the churches to donate food, like every other Sunday have a food drive. And then we had businesses, that would donate money or have food drives in their business. So that's basically how it got started.
With the current environment that we have with the pandemic, for the protection of our volunteers as well as our clients, we allow no one inside the facility. Currently, volunteers present at the door where they are greeted and their food order is taken. They also present their food bank card so that we can correctly identify them. That ticket is taken into the desk worker inside the facility. They enter that ticket, that client, into the system linked to Feed with Second Harvest Food Bank, which is, we are a partner agency with them. Once that they are entered into that system, then that shopping ticket is taken to the warehouse where we have volunteers who do the shopping for the clients. Once that shopping order is complete, it's rolled outside the facility. We will contact the client, tell them to bring their vehicle back, and then they load their groceries in their shopping carts. That way, there's no exposure for the client nor for the volunteer. Clients are allowed to come and shop every 30 days as they need. Each week, each Friday, we also, in addition, allow them to come to have the bread and produce that we have in the warehouse. It is available to them. If they so desire, after 11 o'clock every Friday, they can come and do that to supplement what they get for their monthly food. We also can supply young mothers diapers, and that's a huge benefit and a huge savings for the families. So that is another benefit that we also offer. We also partner with Direct Pharmacy. If people have maintenance medications, non-narcotic medications that they need, they can come here to our facility, and each person in the household has a maximum benefit yearly of $250. Direct does discount a lot of these prescriptions for our clients, and they partner with us and allow us to voucher those medications to the client. No money ever passes hands to the client. It's simply a voucher. So that's another benefit. And in fact, this afternoon we had a lady who came and got a prescription. So yeah, we are generous with our folks. So I'll go in the back door and have them to push a cart out so you can kind of see what a cart looks like. It's a lot of food. But we just roll it out here, and then they roll right here, and they can pick it up and put it in. Now, we still have some clients who come and say maybe they have issues, ambulatory issues, and we will load their groceries for them. But only if they feel comfortable with it.
Right.
Only if they feel comfortable.
Right.
I interviewed the first client we ever had, and she was, I'd guess, 60, 65. And she comes to our first place to get food the first day. She had had health issues. All of her kids didn't live in Yadkin County. She didn't have anybody. Her husband was dead, and so when she left, we gave her food and bagged up food. And so when she left, I went into Richard Askew, who was the guy that really pushed Yadkin Christian Ministries and brought us all together. And I said, Richard, how can that woman not have any food? She draws Social Security. I said, I know her husband's dead, but my goodness, my daddy draws Social Security, but we still eat, And he said, but Carol, everybody's not like that. He said, that's why we wanted to start this, because most of the people think like you do. Because you've got food and everything you need, you think everybody's like that, but he said they're not. He said it probably because of an illness, could be a death because her husband died and they really, didn't have a lot to do a funeral with even. But it was, it just blew me away. And to this day, I never volunteer at that center that I don't think about that girl or that lady. They usually come for help because they've lost a job or they've had to take care of someone sick in their family, those kinds of things. Maybe they've been sick themselves. We've had people come that's had cancer and lost almost everything they own. And some people, when they come to get help, believe it or not, first of all, they don't want to be there. Secondly, they're embarrassed to be there. And thirdly, they just can't believe they are. And so it's really hard for them to say to somebody, well, I don't have any food to feed my baby, or that kind of thing. It is, most of the time, it's no fault of their own. It's just the circumstances of life. It's that type. They're low, for the most part, they're low income, poverty people, but not always. But for the most part, they are. And so after that first interview with that woman, and I talked to Richard about it, I never one time since then, and sometimes it's been hard, have judged the person sitting across the desk from me about why they want this, But sometimes we Christians we like to be judges. Well, the number one thing is to pray for Yadkin Christian Ministries, because most of us that are Christians especially know what prayer can do. So prayer is the number one thing. The second thing is support us. I think getting a group of people in your church to take up a collection, or if the people, especially in the churches that know what Yadkin Christian Ministries is, would do things like that. Because if you do it in some kind of a church setting, a Sunday school class or whatever, then you have that class of people that are going to get excited about Yadkin Christian Ministries, and they're going to want to support it. So maybe the next time we have a breakfast or whatever, they're going to buy tickets. And then you get into all of those 1,200 people or so that come to the breakfast, you realize that you're in a group that's helping people.
As a small county and community, we should be looking out for one another. Our issues are less about a willingness to help, but rather we simply don't have the eyes to see those who need. Who are our 5,000? We know that the poor will always be with us. We will always have neighbors that are in need of help. Food insecurity is an invisible plague, one we must first choose to see, and then always be willing to give from our loaf to feed the empty belly. Are you, your church, or your business willing to support your local community food bank by giving regularly to help your neighbors, as Jesus Christ has called us all to do in the world?
And that was one of the first things that the first director, Richard Eskew, said at the first meeting we had. He said, we have to learn to love people. We can't look at them for what or who they are. You have to just love them, because that's what God does for all of us.